What's going on, family? I'm Scrapbook Boxing, the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuff series. Let's continue to take a look at this massive scrapbook collection series of the Brown Bomber, the world heavyweight champion, Joe Louis. Now, Joe Louis stood 6 foot 1 inch. Facts about Joe Louis. He was born in Lexington, Alabama, May 13, 1914. In this contest, he was 27 years old. He weighed between 200 to 206 pounds, had a chest expansion of 44 inches and a reach of 76 inches. This is important. He's facing the contender, Buddy Bear, who was the former world heavyweight champion's younger brother of Max Bear. Now, Buddy Bear stood 6 foot 6.5 inches. Facts about Buddy Bear. He was born in Denver, Colorado, June 11th, 1915. He was 25 years of age at the time of this contest. He weighed between 240 to 245 pounds, had a chest expansion of 50.5 inches, and a reach of 86.5 inches. Let's recap this for one moment because it's very important. Joe Louis weighed between 200 and 206 pounds. Buddy Bear weighed between 240 and 245 pounds. Louis was 2 years older than Buddy Bear. And he had a 76-inch reach, while Buddy Bear had an 86.5-inch reach. I want you to take a look at those numbers. I'm going to just scan a lot of these articles, but we're going to deep dive this contest. But this bout was very, very interesting. You're going to learn some things that you just did not know or took for granted. This article was from the New York Times, but the Detroit Free Press, this is all in 1941, had a journalist by the name of Grantland Rice who would cover Joe Louis's bouts, the majority of them, along with Jimmy Cannon and Charles P. Ward. Now, let's take a look at this article for one moment. New York, May 18th, this is in 41. Buddy Bear is just one punch away from the heavyweight championship. But that punch had better land on a vital spot. Otherwise, Buddy will require the services of an interior and exterior decorator before the night is over. Once again, I'm going to scan a lot of this, but I'm going to read some very important articles that I think you should really pay close attention to. Now, once again, Grantland Rice. Let's move on. Detroit News. He was the Free Press. Will Buddy have the right attitude? New York, May 21st, 1941. There are two main factors hooked to the Joe Louis Buddy Bear entanglement in Washington Friday. First is the number of phantoms Louis has slipped from his early peak back in the days when Max Bear was hanging around the scene. Number two concerns Buddy Bear's willingness to gamble with one or both hands, an earnest effort to win by a knockout. Now, I'm reading this very slowly because I want you to pay close attention to the details. They're questioning the efforts of Buddy Bear. Why is Buddy Bear in there? Let's continue. Louis meets Bear for title Friday. Crowd of 30,000 expected to see Bomber fight Buddy in Washington ring. Joe will make his 17th defense of his heavyweight championship of the world on Friday night. Brown Bomber, who has held the title since July 1937, will face Buddy, and that's when he defeated Jimmy Braddock, will face Buddy Bear in a scheduled 15-round fight at Griffith Stadium in Washington. I'll let you read the rest of this. It's all leading up to some very valid points that will be made as I'm showing these articles to you. Now, once again, Grantland writes, Maxie's massacre may stir Buddy. Washington, May 22nd of 41. The still haunting memories of the certain night in New York when Joe Louis used Max Baer for a punching bag and almost removes Max's head from his magnificent torso. All that gave Buddy Baer the filmy look and against the Brown Bombers' two blasting fist Friday. I want you to pay attention to these comments. Slipping or not. Here you see Joe Louis and Buddy Baer as they square up. But let's take a look at this article here for a moment. Colorful Brothers Near End of Trail. Once again by Grantland Rice. Buddy Baer is the last of four most famous sporting brothers in the country to tackle a major competition. The quartet includes Buddy Baer and Max Baer, they were two brothers, and Dizzy and Paul Dean. Now, once again, I'm going to let you read on your own. I'm going to scan some of this. But pay attention to what you're looking at. I just wanted to show you, you're going to see a lot of, according to how often I decide to show you these scrapbooks, you're going to see pages. These are the original pages that the press would actually type on. They would use typewriters at that time, but as you can see, a lot of the letters were double punched. I'm trying to clear this for you, where the keys would get stuck together. And when that happens, they would have to pull the paper out, throw it out, and retype again. Well, we were able to acquire a lot of these original articles. And why it's important to me is because when they rewrite, they're not going to write the same way, obviously. So it gives you an idea of what they were thinking on their first attempt of writing. Because I have the articles that they rewrote on these articles that they threw out, and they're massively different. As you can see here, he was trying to type, he hit him with everything. The H is a little higher than the E. And tried for a KO. The O got punched in with the letter I. I just wanted to give you some background on these. That was the Chicago Tribune article. Now here, Buddy Baer against the ropes as Joe Louis is clung to the legs of Buddy Baer, and he's on his way out of the ropes. Buddy Baer thought it was a knockdown, and he would immediately run to his corner. But it was a slip. That's why when I read back, it's slip or fall. That's what they were referring to. The Brown Bomber threw the ropes on the ring apron. In the first round, after a left hook to the head by Baer connected. And it didn't connect because when you look at the video, it wasn't a clean punch to the head. It was more in his glove. He was up at the count of 4. If it was a clean punch, Joe Louis would not have gotten up so quickly. As you can see here, Joe Louis knocks down Buddy Baer, and this is what caused a controversy that you will learn in a moment. Let's get right to the controversy. Max Baer's comment on Brothers Battle. Sacramento, California, May 24th of 41. Max Baer's former heavyweight champion listened to the radio account of his brother Buddy's fight with Joe Louis last night and concluded Buddy got the works. Now, that's an old expression for saying that he was jobbed. Because a man's a champ doesn't give him the privilege to hit a man after the bell rings. Now, this is a quote from Max Baer. This is the first time in my life I ever heard of a champion getting his eye cut and having it affect his hearing, including Mac. What he's saying is, Joe Louis was cut, so is that an excuse for him not to be able to hear the bell? What happened? Joe Louis swung a left hook and clipped the Buddy Bear simultaneous to the bell ringing. And this was at the end of the 5th round, I believe. And so they're trying to justify why Max Baer should be champion or receive another title shot. Let's just take a look at some stats. As you can see, the glow skate, the net, Joe Louis's share, Buddy Bear's share, the stadium district commission, the federal taxes, preliminary fighters, and the paid attendance. This article came from the Detroit News. Why this is important here. New York Times, 1941, story of battle told by Donovan, Arthur Donovan, who was the referee. He says Louis hit Bear at bell, not after it, in Washington contest. Now you see what they tried to pull on Joe Louis. The referee would be honest and tell the State Athletic Commission, excuse me, I'm trying to clear this up here, in Washington, District of Columbia, his side of what he saw. I don't know why I'm getting the blurriness like this. May 24th of 41. Joe Louis hits Buddy Bear at the bell, not afterwards. Now, let's go to why Buddy Bear got this rematch. Now, I showed you an article of Max Baer complaining about Joe Louis hitting Buddy Bear after the bell. Buddy Bear was knocked out. He has no idea what this discussion is about. He's just going along with it. Now, Ansel Hoffman, the man standing, pointing to the rule books. What you're looking at is the State Athletic Commission. This is in Washington, District of Columbia. They're trying to find some reasons as to why Joe Louis should lose his title to Buddy Bear. And at worst, Buddy Bear got a rematch that he didn't deserve, but they're trying to justify it. And if you go back to the words of Max Baer, that's the reason why this will hold up. In spite of the referee Arthur Donovan stating that he did not hit Buddy Bear after the bell. Now, just for fun, whether Ansel Hoffman, that's the man that I showed you, that was pointing to a section in the rule book, will be in there at the Washington conference this morning, protesting for keeps, or just for fun. See, they're shooting dice at this point, throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks. That his buddy, no pun intended, would declare champion, and as a mystery at the moment. Either way, he can't lose. At worst, see, what they're trying to do, and I'm reading here, he will either get the title or he would get a rematch. Either way, Buddy Bear will profit from this because Buddy Bear kept all his earnings in both bouts. Joe Louis donated his earnings to the relief fund. He did it with Abe Simon as well. So between the Army and the Navy Relief Fund, Joe Louis would donate his entire purse. Buddy Bear didn't do so. He kept his earnings. Now, another article from Grantland Rice of the Detroit Free Press. Louis has slipped, but still, is king. Now, the Free Press is an independent journalist who works outside of the company because he's hired by a camp, by a promoter, to write in behalf of his fighter. Grantland Rice was that way. Jimmy Cannon was also that way. I'll read something to you briefly. This is obviously for another discussion. I did talk about Max Schmeling. I'll bring Max Schmeling back into the conversation in another video, but Max Schmeling's death and Crete reported. And I'm going to tell you probably in another video why this was reported this way. Pugilist, a Nazi parachute, killed while trying to flee from capture, the British says. Max Schmeling, former world heavyweight champion, boxing champion, has been killed in Crete while trying to escape from British soldiers escorting him to a prison camp. Now, I'll break that down for you more. I'll tell you the real story of what happened in that situation. But this article is very interesting because it gives you the history of Max Schmeling, because as far as the press was concerned, he was dead. His relationship with Jack Dempsey. See, Jack Dempsey was in the corner of Max, well, in the corner, but he was supporting Max Schmeling when Lewis was facing Max Schmeling in their second fight. And Jack Dempsey was supposed to be a patriot, And it tells you about the fights that Max Schmeling would have. As you can see, Paulino Uskadon, his only title defense was against young Stribling. And it just gives you a lot of history, and it's a very, very interesting article. Killed in Crete. Now, he couldn't have been killed because I met Max Schmeling in 1980. But I'll tell you in another video really what took place. You see, Max Schmeling was supposed to, on his arrival of defeating Joe Louis in 36, he was supposed to, in 38 when he lost, he was supposed to travel on a Hindenburg. Because he traveled on a Hindenburg when he defeated Louis in 36, but in 38 he was supposed to travel, and the Hindenburg would crash. So, the thing about it, Schmeling was a marked man. And I'll get more into that in another video. I'll just show you one more article about this Schmeling, reported dead in Crete. And it's showing his historic battles. And like I said, a very, very interesting article of Max Schmeling when he was reported dead. In this video, this is once again Grantland Rice. Joe Louis keeps control of weight, and it goes to tell the history of the heavyweights who control their weight, what Joe Louis would eat in order to control his weight. There was a lot of rumors of Joe Louis eating watermelon and other stereotypical foods, when Joe Louis didn't eat watermelon because that was the stereotype. There was a list of rules of what Joe Louis couldn't do. But they tell you historically of all the fighters in the past. Once again, the Detroit Free Press, 1941, Grantland Rice. This one is Chicago Tribute, June 2nd of 1941. And it is so much information. So like I said, and I'll show you a few more articles of different fighters that Joe Louis would face. But I have over 50,000 pages, not article, pages. Not front and back. 50,000 pages of Joe Louis's life. So 100,000 combined, if you want a front and back of this man's magnificent career. All right, I'm Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuff Series. All great fights, all great fighters will never be forgotten on my channel. Thanks for watching. Be well.